Homework 2.1 is an exploration of the new unit we're going to be doing. There are 4 different functions, and for each one you're supposed to find the y values from the x values. You should be able to do this without using a calculator, but if you aren't, that's okay. You can use a calculator. When x is -2, we're doing 2 to the -2 power. And remember that negative exponents means you're dividing. So 1 divided by 2 squared is 1/4. When x is -1, 2 to the -1 power is 1 divided by 2, which is 1/2. When x is 0, anything to the 0th power is 1, and 2 to the 0th is 1. 2 to the 1 power is 2. 2 squared is 4. 2 to the 3rd means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And 2 to the 4th power is 16. We'll notice this is an exponential. They all have a constant multiplier. It's multiplying by 2 each time. When we graph it, it makes the shape you should be familiar with from an exponential function. When x is 1, y is 2. When x is 2, y is 4. And when x is 3, y is 8. We should remember for exponential functions there's an asymptote. And so we're going to show it following along the line y equals 0. Up here it grows very quickly. The point 416 is off the graph, and that's okay. The next thing we're supposed to do is switch the x and y values. All we do is we take the x values and the y values and we switch them. So instead of -2 1/4, we're going to have 1/4 -2. Instead of -1 1/2, we're going to have 1/2 -1, and so on. So we have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. These were what used to be the y values. They're now the x values. And here we have what used to be the x values are the y values. Now when we graph this, when x is 1/4, y is -2. So when x is 1/4, y is -2. When x is 1/2, y is -1. When x is 1, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 1. When x is 4, y is 2. When x is 8, y is 3. And when x is 16, that's off the graph. We can kind of surmise what's happening here. And since this one followed an asymptote, this one seems like it'll also follow an asymptote. I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. So we're doing this for each one of these functions. We're seeing what happens when we switch the x and the y value. The last question on the very end is very important. What did you notice about the relationships between the graphs when you switch the x and y values? So what do we notice about the relationship between the original graphs and the new graphs? You'll need to have the other 4 graphed to be able to answer this. Your answer needs to be true for all 4. So once you have all 4 graphed, you're going to see what does the new graph and the old graph, how are they related to each other? And that's what you'll answer at the bottom. This is a pretty important question to make sure you've answered.